Before I welcome today's guest, I wanted to take a moment to thank this season's presenting sponsor, ShopMy. ShopMy is a platform that connects designers, tastemakers, and creators with shoppers who trust their style and recommendations. With ShopMy, you can discover and shop the pieces experts actually use and love in their own homes, all in one beautifully curated place. This season, we're bringing ShopMy directly into the conversation. Each guest will share why they love the platform and the thought behind the products they've chosen for their own ShopMy storefronts. I personally love using my ShopMy account, and you can check out my own storefront in the show notes. So let's dive right in. What is the single most important lesson you hope that readers will take away from the book?
A, that it's not a chore, that there's a tremendous amount of joy in crafting a home that feels layered and assembled over time. But the biggest lesson is that I hope people slow down.
Welcome to Talk Shop. I'm Ariel Okin, a New York-based interior designer, writer, and editor, looking to bring a little bit of magic into our homes every day. After years as a writer and editor in the interiors world, I founded my own editorial site, Fenimore Lane, in 2020, and the Talk Shop interview series was born. Each week, I delve into the personal experiences of the top interior designers and tastemakers around the globe. Some designers have a style you notice. Then there are those whose work feels like an invitation, a way to make a home truly reflect the people who live in it. My guest today is one of those rare talents. This week on Talk Shop, I'm joined by Nate Berkus, one of the world's most influential interior designers. Since first appearing on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2002, Nate has built a storied and inspiring career defined by approachability, humor, and an elevated, deeply personal design aesthetic, all while being a trusted expert for nearly 30 years. Starting his interior design firm at just 24, Nate's work now spans interiors, product collections, television, and books. From curated furniture and vintage pieces to collaborations with brands like Kravet, Living Spaces, and PetSmart, Nate's design extends into every corner of the home. He's also the travel ambassador for Celebrity Cruises and recently designed the Sunset Bar on the ship Beyond. Nate has authored 2 New York Times bestselling books and has a new book, Foundations, Timeless Design That Feels Personal, out on November 18th. Throughout his career, he's consistently sought to empower people to let their homes tell their stories, a philosophy that has earned him features in Architectural Digest, Elle Decor, House Beautiful, Vogue, and more, as well as repeated recognition on the 8100 and Elle Decor A-lists. So please join me as I welcome Nate Berkus to the podcast. Nate, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so excited to get the chance to talk to you.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, for everyone listening, we always kick off every conversation. We ask everyone who comes on, can you describe your style in 3 words or less?
I would say classic, layered, and rooted in history.
Oh, I love that. And I feel like that ties so much into your book, which we'll get into. But for those listening, and there's nobody listening who does not know, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are at this point in your career right now?
Sure. So where am I in my career? That's such a great question. Changes every day. I will say that one of the great joys of doing what I've done and continue to do in design and media and product design is that I have not, probably for the last 25 years, ever had 2 days that were the same. Right now, I think what you're finding me at a stage where we definitely are relaunching a lot of categories in terms of home. Mm-hmm. And going to be a lot of exciting news in the sort of Nate Berkus world, which of course is not just me. It's a huge team of very dedicated and talented people, but we're launching bedding and bath again. We're launching stationery. We're launching baby furniture. We have 1 million.
Wow.
So this has been like a year of rebuilding. Yeah. And then, I'm primarily very excited about a lot of our design projects. When right before COVID hit, I opened an office in New York City. I realized I needed a place to go every day. It's been really fun though. And we've got a ton of great design projects. We have 3 offices now, Chicago, which is the main office, New York, which I lead, and also California, Los Angeles. So it's been really a fun, the truth is when my kids went back to school, I was like, I need a desk. Yeah. What's going on? So that's what I did.
With Hayes too. It's like we all needed to get out of the house. How old are your kids now?
Our daughter Poppy is 10 and our son Oscar is 7.
Oh, wow. Oh my God, those are such fun ages. I have two daughters, 6 and 3.5.
Really
It's really
is.
hard to work from home when they're home.
It's really hard to do that. It's also like I didn't want to miss anything. That's been like a primary concern for me and for Jeremiah as well. I mean, we love, it was a decision for us to become parents 10 years ago, and we honor that decision by being as present as we can be. Those are the three people that I'd rather spend time with than anyone.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, let's talk a little bit about the beginning of your career. What initially drew you to design? I know you started your firm so young, you were 24, which is wild. Was there a defining childhood moment or an experience that sort of set you on this path?
It wasn't one. It was that my mom was an interior designer growing up, and our home was just constantly a place of experimentation and risk taking and changing rooms and the purpose of rooms. And my mom taught me by example how to search for really great things, which is still like a tenet of what I love about design and love about what I do. It's like the sourcing, the finding the things that everyone doesn't have. And, I spent my childhood going to antiques shops and malls, like multi-dealer antique malls where you see something in a case like 800 miles away and you have to go up to the front desk and ask someone to open it for you. Like that. I can do like a 10,000 square foot antiques mall in under an hour because I've been doing it since I was 6 years old.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that because my mom also was an interior designer, and I grew up. She would just schlep me everywhere, and it's part of it. It's like you just grow up with it, and it's just embedded in your DNA.
We still go to those. I mean, my design firm in New York City, we leave the city to buy accessories and things like that for our projects. And I was telling my mother the other day that the best part about it is that we just pick everything and then we leave and then a truck pulls up. And my mom was like, wait, what? You don't have to figure out how to get it? I'm like, no, Mom, we just send the movers because it's so much stuff. But, I love that. I would never give that up. You probably feel the same, but not every design firm has that as a component, that searching and hunting. And
it's the best.
It's the most fun thing in the world.
Totally. Going to Antique and Artisan is like my favorite pastime.
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
So it seems like your mom really is the first person who encouraged your love for interiors and collecting. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, she really was. And she liked weird things. Like, I remember she came back from France with her girlfriends and they all had like scarves, and she had bought a tooled leather seat from a chair, and she had it matted and framed on linen, and sort of it hung in our dining room. And like, that's the kind of stuff today that I'm still really interested in, like how we make decisions in our homes and how I can help people make decisions in their homes that are like deeply personal and special.
Totally. And that ties into, you always say home should tell a story.
Do you know how long I've been saying that, Ariel?
I feel like I learned that from you.
500 years.
I have been watching you, and I have your book. I've been watching you forever, and I know that's sort of your key line.
Always been, It's always been. Well, now it's like ad slang. Like, it's like your aspirin should tell your story. Your skin cream should tell your story.
It got co-opted.
It definitely has been co-opted, but I would like to claim that around home.
You should claim it because you got to trademark that, honestly. Looking back, what story did your childhood home tell?
I think it told a story of a mom who was very talented and loved color, was drawn to other cultures and other places. It was in suburban Minneapolis, and that wasn't a particularly sophisticated community for interior design at the time. My mom was not doing duck decoys and plaid. And if it was plaid, it was like French silk plaid. So, mixed with a billion patterns. And so I think what the childhood home represented was, again, sort of an outlet for my mother's own creativity, but also to really have an understanding that when you're surrounded by things that you love, when your eye travels around a space and just continuously bounces from things that you're really drawn to and that you like, there's a power in that. There's like an efficiency and energy in that makes kind of everything else a little bit better. It makes, bedtime better when you love your bathroom. It makes meal times better when you love your kitchen. Like, it makes doing laundry, which is one of my all-time favorite things to do. When Jeremiah and I were in a renovation for one of our homes, he said to me one day, if you have another meeting with the architect about the laundry room, I don't think we're going to like make it to actually move into this house together. And I was like, right, but babe, like a cleaning bottle is only 3 inches deep. And so I can get all these shelves like this behind doors. And he was like, you're a crazy person.
You're insane. Yeah. But it makes you happy. And that's the point, really, is what you gravitate towards and what makes you happy. You should fill your home, and in turn it feeds your soul.
100%. I've always really believed that.
I do too. I think your interiors, like you said, they have a frequency, and when things are in order, it's similar to your wardrobe. Like when you're in a really great outfit and you feel amazing about yourself, like everything else just falls.
Your house should feel like you have a great haircut every day.
Yes. I love that. It's so true. So let's talk a little bit about how you started your firm, because you started your firm at 24, which I find just completely remarkable. What gave you the confidence to take the leap so young, and how did you decide to do it, and how did that start?
I mean, I was so dumb. Let's be honest. Like, I'm glad I did, but like, I worked for an auction house in Chicago, and I was given the responsibility of organizing all of the exhibitions, because all this stuff comes in and it's upholstered in fabrics that don't match. And, it's a million different styles, from modernist to English brown furniture to gilded things and Chinese. And I was like, we needed the owner of the auction house, who's still a very good friend. She said to me, I think you have an eye. I think you can kind of pull all this stuff together, because I feel like the more attractive it looks, the more it will sell for on auction day. And so I had that job on top of being like the world's worst assistant to this lovely person named Colleen Euland. And she would cry to our boss and say, you have to fire him. I like stopped by his desk, and one letter I asked him to write to this banker is still sitting on his desk like a week later. She's like, he's the worst assistant in the entire world, and you have to fire him. But instead of firing me, they put me in charge of the exhibition spaces, and then doing this series of monthly auctions. And then, you know what? I was just like tired. I was 23. I had graduated from college. I had interned at that auction house. I gave it everything I could at the time. And I had met all of these people in Chicago, people with money and real estate brokers. And I thought, you know what? Let's try it. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Leslie Heineman, my boss, was my very first client. She hired me to redo her living room. I got to work with all the things from the auction house, which is insane. And she had beautiful, great things. She still has wonderful taste. And then I started just getting referred to different people, and I was honest with them. I was like, you're taking a risk on me. Right. I have no staff. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I promise I'll never lie, and I'll work really hard for you. And they were like, okay. And some people were like, no way.
The best story. You make all these, these mistakes, and they're good experiences in the beginning. So I love that you said to people, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I have the eye, and if you'll trust me.
I will tell you too, if I can share a story of that. I just thought of it.
Yeah.
I was hired by this lady who lived next door to Michael Jordan.
Oh my God.
And she said to me, you know what I really want to do on this wall? I really want to do custom millwork. And, kind of bookshelves, and then the television would be incorporated. Don't you think that's a good idea? And I was like, yeah, I think that's amazing. And I got in my car and drove back to the city. And I thought to myself, I don't know how to do that. And I don't know who can make that. And I was driving for like an hour back to Chicago, and I was trying to figure out, like, how do I solve this? How do I solve this? And I went to Ralph Lauren and spoke to the manager of the store, and I asked who did their millwork.
Oh my God, genius.
And they said, they gave me the name, and I called the company, and I went into that company. It was called Detmers in Chicago years ago. And I went in and I said, I'm just started a design firm. I do not know what I'm doing. I really need help. I have a project, and, how does the process work? And I never forget, they were like, do not worry. we will walk you through this. We will show you like, how it's done.
Yeah.
We will come up, we will do a site measurement. We will provide finish samples for you to show the client. And at the time it was like $20,000, which might as well have been $2 billion, because if it was wrong, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go live in my childhood bedroom.
Totally.
Now. Yeah. I was like, that's my choice.
But isn't it amazing how, you start, like, first of all, this is like pre-Google probably. Like, you're like,
way pre-Google. Yeah.
Yeah. You're being so resourceful. You're like, what an amazing and smart way to be resourceful and find a vendor like that. And then also for the vendor to walk you through it, those vendor relationships become 30-year relationships. And
absolutely,
that's how it works in this industry. That's such an amazing story. I love that. Do you remember first space that you ever designed where you thought, this is what I'm meant to do?
It's so funny because when I was 13 years old, I shared a bedroom when I was a little kid with my brother, Jesse, who lives in LA with his wife and 2 children. And he was a normal kid. By normal, I mean filthy. And I was not. And so it made me insane, like to step over his laundry on the carpet and all this stuff. And I would beg my parents, can I please have my own room? And so when I was 13, they built me a bedroom for myself in the basement of our house.
Oh my God.
I was out of my mind. I was like probably so happy. Yeah. Oh, beyond. Yeah. And I remember I wanted it to be, it was 1984. I wanted it to be red and gray and white with some black accents. Yep. And my mother let me pick kind of everything temporary. She wouldn't let me pick like things that were built in. She was like, no, I'm overriding your weird Formica obsession. She's like, this isn't happening. But like, I got to pick my wallpaper and I got to pick my bedding and I got to consult on the carpet. And it was really cool. And so that was like the very first time I remember my parents giving me this opportunity to exercise my own vision in my own space, and the power that was in that, like what that did to 13-year-old me was, you probably can't really quantify it, because it seemed like such a pivotal thing and a pivotal moment, because it was,
ownership over your space and creativity.
Completely. And meanwhile, my friends, when we would like sleep over, I would ask friends to sleep over. I'd go to their house. If I went to a friend's house, we'd go to the mall, we'd go to Radio Shack, we'd ride our bikes, we'd do everything. If someone came to my house, I would make them like lift up one side of the bed because I wanted to see what it would look like on this side of the room. And there was one moment where I like glued these little like mirror tiles onto my ceiling. And, we spent like 2 hours on a chair, my friend Ronnie and me. And so it got to the point where like nobody would come sleep over at my house. They were like, we're good.
Because they become your assistant.
They're like, you can come over here. But, that was 13.
Yeah. And also so many designers have that same formative experience. Like, I feel like it starts so young and you know it from the beginning that like, it starts with your room, really. Like, how many times have you like bonded with another designer?
Oh, like, my husband. When my husband's family sold the house that he grew up in, there were like 20 layers of paint on the wall.
Oh my God. From him just experimenting in there. That's amazing. 100%. I love that. Were there any early mistakes or lessons that in hindsight ended up being really crucial to your growth as a designer and also as an entrepreneur? Because there's a whole business side of your firm too.
There were a million. And I would say that probably and this applies to everything, not just design, not just business, but life. Maya Angelou once said, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Yeah. And I wasn't in a position where I could turn down projects. I had to take everything that came my way. That's what you do when you're starting a company. But I knew who was going to be a nightmare. I really did. And they were, and it was a mess, and it cost me more money and, time, and nothing worked. But like, when you're young and you're trying to get your foot in the door, you have to eat shit all the time. And so I just ate shit constantly. But, and now it's really funny because there's been certain projects that have come up where, the stakes have changed. It's these people have a gazillion-dollar home in one city and another house in another city, and they want us to do it all. And I'm like, but I don't like you. Like, it's going to be hard, and my team is not going to have a good time. And And so, I continue to sometimes make that mistake. The difference is now 30 years in, I call it way earlier than I did when I was younger.
Yeah, no, it's not worth it. I mean, I had so many, early experiences in the beginning too, because I took everything that came my way because I was young, and you can't turn it down. And
No, you have to do it.
My husband and I landed, we went to Napa. It was like our first and last trip before like we were going to try to have kids. And we like landed at San Francisco airport, and this woman was just reaming me on FaceTime, and I started crying in the airport. Got baggage claim. And he was like, you can't do this. And I was like, but I also can't say no. So
isn't that crazy? It is. Yeah. I mean, listen, I think what people forget, and this is something that I've never forgotten, we are in the service industry.
Yep.
Period. Totally. We're not the star of that project. We're not the star of that situation.
No.
We are there to make sure that their money is spent well, that they have been given the best choices to choose from based on everything we know. But that's it. And then we're the guys or the people, I should say, who are responsible for not only whether or not the project comes together, but what the experience was.
Yeah.
The whole time.
100%.
And that is not any different than anybody serving coffee, doing a manicure, or coloring your hair.
No, it's so true. Our whole firm read, and I'm sure yours did too, Unreasonable Hospitality when it came out.
Yep.
And we went through that whole, book club moment of going through it. But it's so true because it is a service business. And one of my favorite things that I've heard David Netto say is, I'm no different than the plumber.
Absolutely.
We are in a very high touch service business. And so there's nothing, so you just have to eat shit sometimes. And also you have to make sure that people come away with the best experience at the end, which you guys absolutely always do. I want to ask you about Oprah, because you made your first appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2002, and that really introduced you to a national audience. How do you feel like that experience changed the trajectory of your career? I'm
going to answer this honestly like I have everything else that you've asked me, Ariel, but I'll tell you, it was phenomenal in 1,000 different ways. And in a few ways, it was also challenging. It was phenomenal in that I got to be a part of a platform that she had crafted based on human connection. And I got to do what I love doing, which is obviously like design and makeovers and crafting spaces, and be a part of that platform. And, I was also like in the control room, like while she was interviewing Nelson Mandela, and like, come on, cool. Like you have to be really dumb to not learn a lesson in that building every day.
Totally.
So we had this an amazing experience. I had an amazing experience. And what it taught me most of all was resourcefulness, because there are no people on this earth that are more resourceful than the Oprah Show producers. There was never a no. We did a small space makeover in Boston, one of the very first ones, and the refrigerator came in with the opening on the wrong side for the kitchen. And I just like looked at everybody, and they were like, nope, no problem. And I remember Jenna Kostelnik got on her BlackBerry and was like, let me find a model refrigerator, the same model, but on the floor somewhere. We'll buy it or we'll borrow it and then give it, switch it out after the show. But like that new fridge that opened the correct way was there in 45 minutes from the moment we discovered it.
Oh my God. I mean, that's like a master class in resourcefulness and just getting shit done.
It was just, there was never something that couldn't be solved. And it wasn't just throwing money at it. It was how you thought about it. So that was formative. The other things that were incredible about it, obviously it gave me a tremendous amount of opportunities. In terms of products and retail partnerships and licensing and publishing, it also taught me how important it is to say no. I was always very conscious of the fact that I was representing Oprah's brand, not just mine, that her brand always had to come first, and that I didn't want to do anything to embarrass her or embarrass her team. Totally. So I was very, very careful about what I agreed to do and what I didn't. And that served me really well, because if you think about it, there were a lot of people who didn't do that. and she was on air every weekday for 25 years. So there were a lot of people that had the same opportunity that I did, and they blew it.
I mean, when you use Oprah as your barometer or your litmus test, like,
I mean, come on,
pass the Oprah test, like I think you'll do pretty well.
Yeah, seriously. Also, by the way, as a side note, no one's more fun. No one's funnier.
Imagine.
I've never met anyone funnier. No one's more fun. Still to this day, Jared and Oprah and I had dinner in Santa Barbara not that long ago, just the three of us. We laugh like you can't believe how hard you laugh in a 3-hour dinner.
Icon, like
brilliant, funny, everything anyone has ever wanted her to be, and nothing anyone's ever accused her of being.
It's amazing. Also, the soundtrack of like every single day when I got home from school, it was on in the kitchen.
for everyone, for America.
For everyone, totally.
It literally was. It was like, an anthem.
Yeah, she's an American icon. Well, I want to talk about your product lines because you have done so much. It's like mind-blowing. You have a new collection with Regs USA. You have furniture lines. You have PetSmart. I mean, you have created an entire Nate Berkus world, which is so inspiring, and I'm just so in awe of it. How do you view the product aspect of your business and how that fits into your overall world?
So again, when that started, which was a direct result of being on the Oprah show, that was the first opportunity was with linens and things years ago. And the team, we went to like all these mass retailers because Oprah said to me, don't do that thing where you design things that my audience can't buy.
Right.
She's like, that would be a really dumb.
So smart.
Right. And I was like, right, of course. Like
business advice.
Totally. So that made sense. And I remember at the time I met with Bed Bath & Beyond, I met with Target, I met with Linens and Things. And there was this woman at Linens and Things, Taryn Chernin, who I could like see in the meeting was getting really excited. And Linens and Things had never done like a brand partnership before. They sold mattress covers and like Dyson vacuums, and it wasn't like a fun place to shop. It was like kind of a chore. Yeah. And Taryn had this idea that we could make a store inside a store, and it would be like these Nate Berkus shops, and we would not have everything in plastic. We'd have baskets with napkin rings in them, and we'd have, of course, bedding and bath mats and comforter sets and all of that. But yeah, it really was. It was like interactive, very ahead of its time. And so I ended up signing with them, and I had no idea what I was doing. I panicked, like, in the car on the way back to New York City. I was probably 27, 28. Wow,
that's crazy.
And I got in the car and I was like, I don't know how many tines are on a fork. I don't know the size of a standard pillowcase versus a Eurosham versus a king size pillowcase or a boudoir pillow. Like, how am I going to do this? And I learned and I dug in and I figured it out, and I figured out who I needed to hire. And it was so fun. And that first deal gave me the bug to the point where anywhere I was around the world, I'd be in a cathedral and in Mexico, and I'd be taking photos with my flip phone of the pattern of the marble, and I'd be like, that is going to be a top of bed for Target. I'm going to take that design back to the offices and proportion this and whatever. And I don't have a lot of turnover in my company at all. I have people who have worked for me for 26 years, 27 years.
Your director in Chicago we have a mutual best friend.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's so great.
And like, I just have forever always heard how it's just the most incredible place to work, and everybody loves working there.
Well, I don't want to work in a place that doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Lauren Gordon, who is my partner in the design firm and runs the Chicago office, like, she is literally one of the best human beings. It's like, that's who you want to have lunch with. Like, that's who she cares about everybody. She knows what's going on in everyone's lives. She leads a team really strongly. She plays to everyone's strengths. She mitigates their weaknesses by assigning those roles to other people. Like, she's very, very good at what she does. That's just all part of it. And I think, when my team and I sit down and we talk initially about every new project, and they always start by asking me, well, what are you into right now? Like for Rugs USA, I had never said Chinese Art Deco rugs I think are really cool ever in 30 years. And Meredith, who works with me and helps design all the collections, she was like, can you be a little bit more detailed? And like she started pulling up all these Art Deco designs. I'm like, okay, well, no dragon and no weird coin, please. But the vibe is this, and it like, look, and I was like, give me a pen. And I was like, erased like 90% of the motifs and just kept a border. And I was like, this is what I mean. And she was like, oh, that's sick. So then the team takes it and starts running with that and starts sending stuff back to me. And it's so much fun. It's the most fun.
And you can tell you're so involved with it because it has you stamped all over it. And because you have such a specific, very personal aesthetic to everything that you bring that's so warm and inviting. And it's so hard to translate that into a very large licensed collection that's manufactured all across the world. And you do. And it's really, really hard to do that.
Well, thanks. We try to stay, even actually come this year, even more than ever. We're really trying to sort of define the brand, define the look, classic American design. Think Ralph from, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Original Kate Spade mixed with Jenna Lyons at J. Crew. Like, what does that represent in home? And I have a lot of leeway. I'm not one note in terms of what I'm drawn to aesthetically or culturally or geographically. And so there's tons of influences in everything, but you're right. And I appreciate you saying that. That is the hardest part, is to kind of look at what is happening over in stationery with this manufacturer and bedding with this manufacturer and rugs with these 12 manufacturers and be like, okay, what is the through line? Right. What is consistent? And I will tell you, Ariel, what it's born from is that I have still a tremendous amount of respect for somebody who has $50 at the end of their paycheck and decides to spend that $50 on something for their home and something with my name on it.
Yeah. I love that.
Like, that just matters. And it still matters. Yeah. It just matters.
And that's why you can tell that it's imprinted in the collections too. Because it's very easy to just put your name on something and, they show you something, you check it off and whatever. And we've all seen collections like that. And your collections are never that. And it's very, very obvious that you have a strong hand in it. What continues to motivate and inspire you after 30 years in the industry, which is so wild?
Yeah, no, it's really, really wild. It makes me really derm. So, what's Dr. Levine doing this afternoon? Let's see if he's free. No, I mean, 30 years in, I'll tell you, I'm not bored. I am obsessively on auction sites all day and night. I love, isn't it the best? It's sick. It's funny. We have this count that we're friends with in Venice who's like the most charming, amazing guy. And he's on the Italian version of Live Auctioneers, which is called Katawiki. I don't understand Katawiki. I'm never going on it. And you don't need to, obviously, because Live Auctioneers, you can go to those auctions in Genoa or wherever. He and his wife, Bianca, and Jared and I were having dinner one day, and Jared was complaining about how much time I spent on Live Auctioneers, and Bianca was complaining about how much time GB spends on Katawiki. And we both looked at each other and we're like, it's research.
It is.
It's research. I mean, I have learned so much. Yes, tell him.
But next time a case piece mysteriously arrives at our house.
Exactly. A package, anything, jewelry, bags, like silver, like all of it. But, listen, I think what's great about that is that it does continue to inspire me, because I'll see a light fixture or a pair of sconces or wall lights from 1930, and they'll be signed by somebody that I don't know. And I'll go on to First Dibs and figure out who that person is, or do a search and try and understand who they were, that designer, their body of work. And then that bleeds into the bathroom that we're redoing on Park Avenue. And it's just all connected. Yeah. And travel still, for me is deeply, deeply inspiring. But I like to go to the markets where everyone who lives wherever I am shops. Yeah. Like, I want to go see where they buy their pots and pans. I don't need to go to the Chinese rug department.
Skill of yours too, because that's what kind of helps you translate your work to a mass scale too, in a way that feels really
Definitely.
fresh and special.
Definitely. I mean, listen, I always remembered like in art school, you have to know how to draw a perfect apple or paint a perfect apple before you can attempt a portrait.
Yeah.
And so I always think about that because how am I recommending a side table or a daybed or a set of dishes if I don't have at least some sort of mastery on the best quality out there that exists?
Yeah.
How do you design something? How do you design a towel for $12 if you've never dried off with a $200 towel? You have to know the difference.
Yeah.
You have to know what matters and what doesn't. And so I will take on your husband and my husband and GB's wife, Bianca, any day and say, it is research, man.
Nate Berkus, advocate for all designers around the world.
100%.
Their shopping addictions.
Exactly. It really is pretty sick, though.
No, it is. I want to talk about your book because I'm so excited about it. It's called
Thank you. I am too.
Foundations, Timeless Design That Feels Personal. And I have both of your other books, but this new book is all about helping people design spaces that feel very personal and timeless, which to me, those two adjectives evoke so much of your work. What inspired you to write Foundations at this stage in your career?
So it wasn't what I wanted to write. What I wanted to write, I didn't want to write this book initially. I wanted to write a book that was like kind of like the FIDEN guides to cities. And I wanted it to have like a box set with all these little books that were divided by everything I've learned for living rooms, bathrooms, kitchens, powder rooms.
That's a good idea.
That's what I wanted. I thought so too, Ariel, but the publishers were like, you're insane. You know how much it costs to print a cover.
Right, multiplied by 10.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, you may not sell $15 guides to every room. You can put all of that information into one book. And so that's how Foundations was born. I will say, though, there's some publishers that I met with were like, no, it's time for you to do that $150 coffee table book of all your work. And, you know, it's the firm's 30-year anniversary. Like, this is the year. And I didn't want to write a book that people couldn't use and couldn't afford. And I didn't want it to be about me. I wanted it to be more of a thank you note to anybody who's ever DM'd me a question or commented on a post or emailed a question or bought a bath mat. Like, I just thought to myself, you know what? I need to shine this
back
out
on the audience. Yeah.
Yes. It's not about me. And it was so much fun to write. We had the best time.
Though, to say, you know, oh yes, I'll take the really splashy, big, you know, whatever, but the thoughtfulness behind saying, you know what, no, I'm going to structure this deal differently and I want it to be accessible to everyone, which is so much of what you do. You know, like your firm is one side of your business and then your licensing is the other, and that's amazing. I love that story.
I have to tell you what was really interesting about it is that the big decision around that was you only have the first 30 years of projects photographed. You can only use them once. Yeah. And so, you know, the decision I had to make was if I was going to break down Foundations room by room, share every single thing that I could think of that could help people really craft a space that represented them. How do I do that without sharing the best photography of the best projects? Yeah. And I realized, like, this is the book. I can't save anything. I have to put everything I have and every asset I own into it. And, you know, it's really cool. It's like, it's broken down. It's really fun to read. It's fun to look at, but it's even better to read. I try to teach people, like, when I'm looking at inspiration imagery, what do I see? Like, how do I break down that image so I'm not just looking at the whole room? Like, what element stands out so they can, when they're, you know, saving images on Instagram, they can be like, well, I saved this image because I just like the furniture layout. I hate the fabric. I hate the color of this room, but I really thought that was a really inventive way of laying out the furniture. So I'm trying to show people sort of how to move through the world like we do, you know, like with this kind of sensitivity and understanding, and then just really practically how they can apply everything I've learned in the last 30 years into living well. I
cannot wait to get this book. I mean, I'm really
proud of it. I really like it. It's like a pleasure to talk about.
the ethos and the thought behind it in general is just beautiful. And also the fact that it's not just a design manual, it's filled with questions and exercises to help readers hone their taste. Like, it's got an interactive element to it, which is really unique and different, and not a lot of books have that.
It definitely does. And then, even in the back of the last chapter is like, we call it the designer's toolbox and the numbers game. And I give people like all the standard dimensions of everything so that when they're out at the flea market, they can be like, wait, how high is the seat of a dining chair? Okay, wait, this isn't really a dining table because it's only 27 inches high. And Nate said in his book that, a seat is 18 inches. That's only 9 inches for my legs. And that means I can sit there, but I can't ever eat anything. So I'm passing.
Yeah. And these are things that trip people up and that they have no clue. And like, it's really valuable information.
I think it's going to be really helpful to people. I think it's helpful in terms of inspiration, but I know it's going to be helpful in terms of recrafting the way we think about acquiring, the way we think about amassing stuff, the way we fill our homes with stuff that we don't care about, and just a different introduction into like furniture styles and what could work well with different things and how to really dig in and understand like why it's so important that your home should represent not only who you are, but who you've been and who you aspire to be and how you can do that. So what I wanted it to answer, what I wanted Foundations to answer was, where do I begin?
Mm-hmm.
And once I start, how do I do this? And if you only care about bathrooms, you go to that chapter. If you only are renovating your kitchen, then just read that and look at that. And all the materials and combinations are in there, and hardware locations and styling the countertops. And, it's very, very specific because it was built almost like a magazine.
What is the single most important lesson you hope that readers will take away from the book?
That it's not a chore, that there's a tremendous amount of joy in crafting a home that feels layered and assembled over time. But the biggest lesson is that I hope people slow down. I hope that people don't like click on a cart and fill a room.
Yeah.
I hope that people don't listen to like bullshit from me, David Netto, you, Markham. I hope that it gets people to realize that design as a pursuit and living well as a pursuit is something that if you actually do a little bit of groundwork before you set off to do it, whether you hire a designer or you do it yourself, that groundwork, which I explain in the book really clearly, is unbelievably important. I'm not an expert in everything. Obviously, no one is, but I've learned a lot in the last 30 years. But even in areas that I think I'm pretty good at, I was like, for the book, I wanted to like bring true experts in those fields in. And so I remember Heather Somerville, who I worked with on the book, she and I were talking. She helped build the whole thing in chapters and all that scary math stuff. We were talking about guest rooms and like how to make a guest room feel special and gracious and not just this like afterthought of like your sort of crappy furniture you don't want in your room anymore. I was like, you know who we should talk to? Let's call the GM of the Carlisle. Like, let's find out what Marlene Poindner has to say about a guest experience. Like, let's add her. I set a great table. I love setting tables. It's like, I can't make a grilled cheese. My children complain that my eggs taste like nothing. So Jeremiah cooks, I clean and set the table. But, I was like, you know who I want to hear from? Erin Lauder. I was like, let's ask her. What did Esty teach you? Like, let's put that in the book. Even millwork, for instance, and general contracting, like Stephen Fanuca is a contractor that we've used over and over in New York City, and he's done a couple of our projects for us personally. And I was like, I don't want to tell people about millwork. I want to hear from him so that if somebody goes to a cabinet maker in their town, they already got whatever Stephen says they need to communicate their vision to somebody, whether there's a designer involved or not. And so it's just, that's how I was framing the building of Foundations. They really are the foundational ideas to get you thinking differently about how to craft a space.
Amazing. Oh my God, I can't wait to get my book. It comes out November 18th for those listening, by the way.
Correct.
Which I'm so jazzed about.
Thank you.
I want to hear a little bit about working in design. What is your favorite thing about working in design?
Definitely the sourcing, but I was spoiled for 12 years being part of the Oprah show of like standing next to somebody with their eyes closed and my hand in their hand and having them open their eyes and see their space reimagined.
Yeah.
And I still
Must
do
be
that.
so special though.
I mean, it was the coolest. There's no other feeling. It's such a rush. And so even these days, like my firm, whenever we do a project, we really do it. Like you open a linen closet and there are new towels folded all the same way.
Yep.
Photos are in frames, flowers are in vases. It's been professionally cleaned twice. And then we invite the client home. Like I love them. I love the fingertips on the books and spines and the bookshelves. I love when their eye lands on a photo of a moment that, obviously the photos came from them. We asked them for photos for the frames, but like they didn't know that on their bathroom vanity would be their 3 kids as babies. Like, we're just trying to be so deeply thoughtful about every aspect of it. And
talk about
that's the part.
Hospitality. That's amazing.
Well, that's really what it is. If you're going to be pouring coffee, then get a nice cup.
Yeah. What design rule do you always follow? And do you think there's one that's made to be broken?
Jeremiah and I fight about this a lot, actually. He thinks all rules are meant to be broken. I think some rules aren't. I think there's obviously not one right way to assemble a space. And I've learned that being married to somebody else who does what I do and has oftentimes in a more interesting way or in a way that I would have never thought of. And that was in and of itself a lesson. But I will say that I'm personally probably too hooked on like provenance and where something came from and how it's made. And Jeremiah is a little bit more free around that. He's like, who cares? I'm like, no, that's new. What are you talking about? Like, or like he'll refinish a cabinet from 1940. I'm like, I wouldn't touch it. Like, I'm much more of an archivist. That's actually the direction I've given every contractor for our homes. I'm like archival. Like, I don't want everything
fixed. Look like it's not brand new.
No, don't touch it. Like, I don't. We're renovating our farm in Portugal right now, and I said to the team, it's an original 18th century massive fireplace in a dining room. And it's got all the like soot and everything from all that time. And they're like, and you want this painted white, right? And I was like, if you touch that,
I will kill you.
I will move. Like, no. So
that's the patina. I mean, you talked about embracing history.
Exactly.
And that's why rooms feel complete when they include old things, is because it adds that character.
There's no substitute. Even old building materials, salvaged wood floors, salvaged hardware, salvaged fireplaces, fire brick. Like that is the stuff that I love so much about my job.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about you after so many years of helping others tell their story through their homes. How would you describe the story your own homes tell right now?
I think that that's a great question. I think that they say everything about me, to be honest with you. I don't think there's any mystery. First of all, there's not a lot of mystery around who I am. Like, I'm pretty consistent and I've been, in the public eye for a really long time. So I don't really have much to hide. But I would say that our homes are, well, first and foremost, they're very much representative of a style that's not just mine and not just Jer's. We've managed to find a style that actually is a blend of both of us that we're both happy and good with and inspired by. But like the house would be completely different if it were mine and completely different if it were just his. And we both know that, and that's okay. But
the fact that you guys both do it separately and then you've come together to create your own style in your home is so romantic and cute.
It's cute. We have one rule. If somebody says no, we can't try and sell it to them. That's the only rule. Like, I can't be like, but what if it was mixed with this? And he's like, nope. What if it, you can't do that. Like, that's against the rules. No is no. Find another thing, come up with another idea until you get a yes. That works for us. But I would say that our homes feel very vintage, heavy, very, very much patinaed, all of them. Very much a mix of periods and creators and things that we both really are drawn to. A lot of, for me, 18th century and 19th century mixed with French 50s and 40s. And most of the paintings and artwork is pretty contemporary, although now we're like in this weird phase where I'm like, do we like this picture of this bloody rabbit on a hunt? Like,
Oh my God.
I'm not sure. Like, is there something like, why are these old masters looking interesting to me right now?
That's amazing.
Yeah, and like this fat lady with the robe in the
Like a
wind. Is that
Reuben.
happening? I'm
A
like, yeah. I'm like,
Reuben
what's going on? Is this good? But I would say it represents the fact that we're very well traveled, the fact that we're realists about living with our kids, and that they're welcome there in every space, and that we love to collect. We have such cool things that we've found over the years. Some are very valuable and some are not valuable at all monetarily. Like, I don't know what I like more, a rare Rene Prue daybed that we have in our living room, or the woven black and natural placemats that we bought in Chiang Mai 10 years ago that our kids still use every time they sit down at the table, that you can wash with a sponge. Like, I don't, it's our home. There's nothing in our house that I don't like. Not a coffee cup, not a scent, not a soap dish, not a serving spoon, not a bowl. Everything is there because at least we like it.
Yeah.
Some things we love, but at least we really like everything.
I feel like that's such a good lesson also for designers. If you're not in love with it, even for sourcing for clients, like,
totally,
it doesn't go in, and like, you only show and give your best, and that's how great work comes about.
100%. When we present 4 or 5 options for each piece of furniture to a client, and I can tell that they're not really excited by one of them, I say, we're going to pull some more things for you.
Yeah.
I don't want you to settle on any of it. I want you to be excited about all of it. Is there anything here that I could talk you into? Like, are you not getting it? What's going on? But because if it were my house, I would do this. But again, I have no problem pulling 4 different dining chairs than what you're seeing here if you really don't love any of the options that we're showing you.
Yeah.
And clients appreciate it.
No, of course they do, because
they're like, thank you.
Feel it. They can feel when people are really genuinely, authentically want them to have the house of their dreams and
what they want, what they love.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk a little bit about inspiration. I know you guys travel so much. How has travel shaped your eye and your collections too?
Probably because I've always been and continue to be very much drawn to craft. And so for me, what is one of my favorite things about travel, aside from flea markets and vintage shops and wherever the area is that has all the antique shops or whatever, that's a given. But I always like to figure out, wherever we go, what is the best thing that's made here?
Yeah. Is
it a jam, or is it a placemat, or is it just a million different things in carved wood, or is it embroidery? Is it cotton? Like, once I have a sense, like, I'll do that on an airplane, even like to an island. I'll be like, what are the crafts? Like, what do they make here?
Such a good idea.
I love it because I love having things that represent these places in an authentic way once you're home. I don't want a snow globe. I don't want anything from, I don't want any of that stuff. I don't want a t-shirt. No thanks.
And you're holding your eye in real time, physically in these places, and you're learning too.
And they're so much better made. Years ago, we went with One King's Lane to Peru, and I'll never forget. We were like on the side of this mountain. Jeremy, we actually got engaged that trip. Not as a side note, he would kill me for being like, yeah, that was the trip. But we were on the side of this mountaintop with a whole tribe of people that hand make and hand weave and vegetable dye all of these amazing, like, bright rugs. And we were buying things on behalf of One King's Lane and curating this like online sale for them. And so we were able to buy a lot. And Susan Feldman, who owned it, was looking at me that day and she goes, "This isn't like for you though, right?" And I was like, "Nope, not at all. Like, I don't want any of these for me, but I appreciate them. But I'm never living with any of that. But I love them, but it's not for my house." And she was like, "No, I didn't think it was." Meanwhile, we went back into the like little shack, literally built out of like concrete on the side of this mountaintop, and we all had tea, and I was sitting on these cushions that were this brown and camel herringbone, like a wide herringbone. It looked like an old Armani coat from like the 80s.
Yeah.
And like an exaggerated wool herringbone. And I was like, what is this fabric? And they all kind of laughed at me and they're like, well, that's the utilitarian fabric of Peru. Like that's what
wild.
we carry potatoes in. That's what we carry the corn in. And I was like, where do you buy it? And they're like, oh, at the market in Cusco, they just sell it by bolts. I'm like, it's all woven though. And they're like, yeah, of course it's hand woven. It's Peru.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay.
Like, now I know where I'm going tomorrow.
Oh, not only did we go, but I like bought a huge duffel bag. I had to take it off the roll and fold it into like 1,000 pieces. But we still have pillows made from that. And I had a suit made out of it.
Wow.
And I'm like,
so cool.
I picked one of my like best suits like that fits perfectly and brought it to a tailor. And I was like, can you line this please? Because it's obviously wool and really itchy, but but I really want this. And I still have that. And so, for me, that was like one of those, like, that was like the dilemma of like, well, how do you define the best craft? Because this fabric that was like 5 cents a meter, to me was the most beautiful thing I saw.
Right. You have the eye.
It was it's super cool.
And your resourcefulness brought you there, which to me, like, I'm thinking of that story of how you went into Ralph Lauren again, like that, and asking them where the market is, like it's that plus your eye. That's how you are who you are.
Well, thank you. But I mean, listen, I love this stuff. I could talk about it all day, obviously.
Yeah, it's so cool. A new thing that we're doing this season, because Shop My is our lovely presenting sponsor for season 5, is talking about your Shop My storefront, which I look at all the time, and you put the coolest stuff in there. You can tell that you're constantly saving things and that you're just constantly browsing and shopping, because there's just such amazing, like there was a watch in there recently that I saw that I was like, oh my God, that's the sickest thing I've ever seen. Is there anything in your storefront on your wish list right now, or something that you really want in your seasonal rotation?
Yeah. I only put stuff in Shop My that I actually really love. I think that the concept is really, really cool. I don't really consider myself an influencer, but they asked me to do it. And then they put me on billboards during Fashion Week. And I was like, oh,
I know, cool. I saw.
I was like, this is so...
You're the original influencer.
I was like, this is sick. Like, I'm really into this. This is great. But I would say there's some vintage in there that I am truly obsessed with, that I always add. It's always a mix of like my stuff and then vintage stuff and then some of our new lines and things like that.
There's some really good first dibs finds.
Yeah, there's some like vintage Hermes stuff in there. There used to be these Puy-Forcat silver beakers in there, but somebody bought them. They were vintage. They were so beautiful, and they were cups, but like I would use them as vases, obviously, because who needs that? You're not like Caesar. But on an entry table, that sounds good. I do keep up with it though. I'm constantly like adding stuff to it, and I'm not a huge like shopper per se, but I'm pretty loyal to a bunch of random brands. Like there's this brand called Isto, which I found in Portugal, and they make like the best jeans and the best pocket tees and the best car coat. And so like that would be like, for instance, a good gift for your husband.
Yeah. I don't know them. I have to check them out.
It's great. And the cut is like great.
I'm going to go down a rabbit hole now. And for those listening, we're going to put Nate's storefront link in the show notes so you can shop it too. How did you decide to organize your shop? Is it just like kind of everything's in there, or is it categorized?
It is categorized, but it's pretty easy. I mean, I don't really venture. There's a little bit of skincare because my best friend Brooke was like, if you're not using this skincare, your face is going to be ugly. So I was like, okay.
What is it?
It's System Biology.
Oh,
but
yes.
I'm really loyal. Like it's
so good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And worth it. And like the mask is great. And so I added that. Some of the masks
smell have like a really weird
The poop mask.
Yes, but they work so well.
It's the best thing, but you have to do it. Like you have to get separated from your husband. And then
Ben won't come near me when I
No, Jared won't even come on the floor that I'm on. That? He's like literally like, you're so gross. I'm like, but I'm going to be so cute in a minute.
Yes. No, it works so well. And it smells
it's so
terrible.
funny. Terrible.
Okay, let's get into our Take 10, which they're my favorite. It's how we end every episode. It's rapid fire questions. They have nothing to do with design at all.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, what is your favorite food?
Thai food.
Favorite drink?
Little Saints, which is non-alcoholic, or the margarita flavor is like delicious, or it's great.
Yeah.
Tequila and soda is like my drink of choice with fresh lemon juice.
Me too.
Is it?
Yes.
See, we should be married.
Yes.
This makes perfect sense.
Favorite film?
Overboard with Goldie Hawn. That makes me laugh out loud.
She has like physical comedy to a T.
Down.
She's just the best.
I agree.
Favorite hotel?
Ooh, I'm going to have to go with the Ritz Paris.
I mean, there's nothing better than that.
No. And it's like, I would normally, I wouldn't be like, oh, a city hotel. Like, I love the Aman in Laos, in Luang Prabang, I think is insane. Ooh. And I think everybody, if you can, should try to go there once. It's in an old former French colonial building, several buildings, whatever, but it's such a beautiful part of the world. I love Southeast Asia, but I mean, the Ritz is like, it's just the best hotel.
Yeah, no, it is. My mom took me for my 16th birthday. She took me on a trip to Europe and we went there for 2 nights and I will literally never forget it.
It's crazy. My kids have stayed there and Jared's like, they're ruined now. Disaster.
Favorite city?
New York. I love living here.
It's the best place.
I just love it.
Favorite bedding?
Actually, right now, Restoration Hardware.
Ooh, you know what? I keep seeing Annie Meyer Shire just shot her house for her book and she had all this great RH stuff on her life.
I'm kind of into it. I would have to say, like, it's cotton. It's really comfortable. It gets softer and softer and softer. I really like it. I think they're doing a great job.
Yeah, it's beautiful too. Tea or coffee, and how do you take it?
Coffee black, which I had to learn how to do. And I
was going to say, that's where we differ. I can't do that.
No, I do that, but it was a huge thing for me because any creamer that was like total garbage, like Candy Bar or whatever, I was so into.
Coffee Mate. My mom.
Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate, French vanilla Coffee Mate is delicious.
It's heaven. It's so good.
But I don't use it.
Drink it anymore. It's so good.
You can't. You have to use the weird fake organic ones, but it's still
that don't taste as good. But
no, not at all. Which, by the way, makes no sense that I forced myself to have black coffee, and I do enjoy it now, but I'll also like go to Dairy Queen in Connecticut in 2 seconds. So nothing makes sense.
Yes, you have to live a life of dichotomy. Favorite playlist or music to listen to?
I like hip hop from like my era. So like 90s, like 80s, 90s hip hop and rap.
Yeah. Favorite weekend activity?
Walking around the West Village with my kids and Jer.
So cute. And then the last one, which is I think the hardest question, favorite design book?
I would say it's the book of Yves Saint Laurent and Pierre Berger's, all the interiors that they did.
Yeah.
It's just really good because it's like Morocco, Paris. You see the quality of what they collected and the collections that they built over all these years. And then in addition, you see obviously the mastery of the interiors.
Yeah, that is a great one. Well, Nate, this was like the ultimate delight. Thank you so much for coming on. I have final few words. What are you working on right now? And are there any new projects you can talk about besides foundations?
So much. Truly, like we've got this extremely modern project that we're working on in Miami. We have a really cool house that we're working on for a family that I like a lot in Aspen. Several projects here in New York, Chicago, of course, and some really great. The 4th project we've done for the same family now in LA. Wow. So the design firm's swamped, but like in really, and then we have like this cute young couple who bought their first apartment that we're installing in 2 weeks uptown, and she's pregnant and they're like, I think they're like 26 and I love them. So like they were having so much fun. It's like, they were like, we didn't know if we could call you. I'm like, yeah, this is great. Like I hope we work together for 80 years. I hope I'm in a wheelchair controlled by blinking. But we've got all of that going on. And like I mentioned when we first started talking, it's been a real year of like research, expansion, and brand partnerships. So there's going to be a lot of launches coming out next year.
Wow. Well, I'm so excited for you. And I've always been a huge fan of yours, and I'm just in awe of how much you do, and you're amazing. So truly thank you for coming on. This was such an honor for me and a delight, and I know our listeners are going to be so happy. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Thanks again to my guests today for joining me, and to Shopmy for sponsoring this season of Talk Shop. Head to the show notes to create your free shopper account and explore the curated storefronts from this season's designers. We'll be back next week with more thoughtful discussions and amazing guests. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube so you never miss an episode. And of course, follow me at Ariel Okin. See you next week.